And Sherwin joining us live now from the UN headquarters in New York. Sherwin, thank you as always. So as you said, presenting this reformed posture to the world and also allowing the UN and its agencies to continue with their work in Afghanistan. How is that being received at the headquarters in New York?
A combination, Francis, of relief and a healthy dose of skepticism. Just look at the announcement we've just received from the Secretary-General spokesperson, Stefan Dujarric, the United Nations announcing that they will be moving 100 of its international staff as part of their broader mission in the country. 100 international staff are being moved out of Afghanistan and are now en route to the neighboring country of Kazakhstan. They say that some personnel are already en route from Kabul in Afghanistan, but the majority of their humanitarian personnel will remain in the country. Dujarric was pressed on why this was only international staff being evacuated from the country. His response was, we are doing our utmost to safeguard national staff and their dependents. Of course, the vast majority of people who are employed by the United Nations in Afghanistan, as in probably all their missions around the world, tend to be national staff, and that is no different in Afghanistan. In addition to that, we had India's external minister chair a Security Council meeting earlier today on a completely different matter. He came out to speak to reporters after that meeting. Of course, India, one of the closest neighbors to Afghanistan. He was asked about developments in the neighboring country of Afghanistan. This was his response.
At the moment, we are, like everybody else, very carefully following developments in Afghanistan. I think our focus is on ensuring the security in Afghanistan and the safe return of Indian nationals who are there. So that is really what has been very much the focus of my own engagements here, talking to the UN Secretary General, to other colleagues who are here, as well as with the US Secretary of State a few days ago. That relationship with the Afghan people obviously continues, and that will guide our approach to Afghanistan in the coming days. At this time, I think as I said, these are early days. Our focus right now is on ensuring the safety and security of Indian nationals who are there.
And I think it goes without saying that international capitals around the world, including the United Nations, really looking to see if there are gaps between Taliban rhetoric and what you see playing out on the ground. A lot of questions about the command structure, the lines of command from the central bodies that run the Taliban to elements of the Taliban around the country. So what are those structures like, and are they following what their leadership is saying in Kabul? That still remains to be seen, Francis.
And Sherwin, the big concern continues to be the safety of women and girls in particular, despite the assurances from the Taliban. Some UN agencies reporting a mixed bag, looking at how women have been treated when the Taliban takes control over certain parts of the country. What do you have on that?
Yeah, we had a multi-agency briefing from a number of agencies, including the World Food Programme, UNICEF, and the UN Refugee Agency, with their representatives in Afghanistan speaking with us. And there were some reports that, girls were still going to school in some regions of Afghanistan. But then there were also reports of some repression targeting women in Afghanistan. There was a question put to the representative of the UN's Refugee Agency in Afghanistan. This was her response.
We have some reports of human rights abuses against women. We've been told that in some areas women are not allowed to go to work. And this is a real problem because women are heads of households in some areas and they have to work to take care of their families. In some areas, it's been reported that women are not allowed to move without a male family member, a close male relative. This is also problematic because women have to go to the doctor. What if there's no male relative available? They have to go shopping. They have to do certain things. So even though this is not reported in all areas, we're getting some of these reports, and this is of course of real concern.
Caroline van Buren there also talking about how women and children in particular are the most affected in terms of civilians, in terms of the humanitarian needs we are seeing on the ground. The UN, of course, pointing to the 18.4 million people, Francis, half the population in that country, that requires humanitarian assistance, including dealing with natural factors, including droughts in Afghanistan. And, of course, the approaching winter will will exacerbate certainly the problems on the ground. I can also tell you we're seeing out of Geneva that the Human Rights Council, the UN Human Rights Council, is scheduled to hold an emergency session on Afghanistan with a particular focus on the emergency situation there that is developing. That scenario is yet to be articulated, what the outcomes will be, but that council set to convene early next week, Francis.
And you will follow that for us, and no doubt the US President Joe Biden talking later today, and so many issues, but Afghanistan, surely he'll field a lot of questions around that and the situation that continues to evolve. Thank you very much, SABC News correspondent Sherwin Bryce-Pease.